So you're probably sitting there wondering how to get an EIN only high limit business credit cards from a credit union, right? Especially if you're looking for a dirt cheap APR, you are at the right spot because I have a method that I'm going to share with you that will help you get the EIN high limit business credit card from a credit union that you need. I want you to stick around for me. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, guess what? We're going to speak about how to get an EIN only high limit business credit card from a credit union with a dirt cheap APR. Everybody loves dirt cheap APRs, right? The first step, and again, the kind of card I'm speaking about here today, when we talk about an EIN high limit business credit card, this kind of card applies to people who have bad credit, no credit, fair credit, good credit. Why? Because when we speak about EIN, the notion of personal credit doesn't matter. EIN stands for Employer Identification Number. So we are talking here about the business credit. The company is the credit card issuer, the credit union is analyzing your business to decide whether or not you should get a business credit card. Step number one, you need to understand various types of credit unions. Before you even think about getting a business credit card from a credit union, you need to understand the different types of credit unions. So you have federal credit unions, you have federally insured state credit unions, you have community credit unions, you have educational credit unions, military credit unions, the associational credit unions, you have manufacturing and industry credit unions, service industry credit unions, government credit unions, corporate credit unions, non-federal credit unions, and multiple common bond credit unions. Why? You need to understand the constellation of credit unions out there so that you can target the right credit union card issuer for you. This is very important. I'll give you an example. If you take a military credit union such as Navy Federal Credit Union, their requirements, their mission, their vision is totally different from a corporate credit union such as the Boeing Employees Credit Union, the BECU. So you got to be very strategic in terms of which credit union you are targeting and where you are applying for your EIN high limit business credit card. Step number two, you need to set a legit business structure. You need to get your act together, folks. Very important. If we're talking about getting an EIN only high limit business credit card from a credit union, the quintessential element here is what? EIN, Employer Identification Number. So you first want to get your EIN. Very important. You want to go to the IRS. Very simple. It takes 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Do you hear that? 3 minutes. Okay, so you go to the IRS website. You just type EIN. It's something you can do over the internet. You get your EIN ASAP. Now, if you don't want that, you can do it over the phone or you can fax over your information to the IRS. Either way, it's very simple. So you need to get a legit. So getting an EIN is the first step in getting a legit business structure. Then you need to choose the legal structure for your business. Okay, it's got to be LLC, C Corp, S Corp, or LP. We don't want a sole proprietorship. You are not going to get a high limit business credit card from a credit union if you are not incorporated. You got to have a legal structure. Okay. So if you are a sole proprietorship, you want to change that right now. And you also need to have a business bank account. So you need to open a business bank account at the credit unions where you are going to get the card from. And if it's good, you can always get a business savings account with that credit union also. The whole idea here is to establish a relationship with that credit union. And you better have your business tax returns ready. At least you want to have either a business tax return, so that's a 1065 or 1120, or you want to have your Schedule C. So you need to have a clear Schedule C that delineates all the business expenses on your personal tax return. You got to take care of business branding, logo, website, this kind of stuff, content. You need to think about setting up business accounting. Again, I'm not asking you to actually break the bank here. No, those are very simple things you have to do. For example, for business accounting, you have a service like QuickBooks or Xero or Wave. Everything happens on the internet. You just set up the account, and the whole idea is to segregate your business's affairs from your personal affairs. You got to have a business plan. If you want to set a legit business structure, a business plan is not just for the credit union. They don't really need that at the end of the day. They might need it, but it's primarily for you, right? Because the business plan is a roadmap that helps you get from point A to point B. It helps you crystallize your operational plans, your business model, things you need to do, what you have to do, what kind of market you have to go after. So you need to have a business plan. And last but not the least, think about business licenses, permits, and certificates. Get the necessary ones for your business. Step number 3, folks, you got to understand how credit union business credit cards work. There is a specific process, I would say a specific routine that surrounds business credit cards issued by credit unions. Number one, you have to understand credit unions are non-for-profit institutions, right? So they're not really, I would say they're not driven by profit at first. They want to serve the community. They want to serve their members because their members are not customers. They are members. They are owners of the credit union. So the choice when it comes to having a business credit card from a credit union, you want to really weigh your choices very carefully. You need to think about the APRs that you've been charged. You need to think about all the fees, if there are fees. So in terms of fees, I'm referring to annual fees, foreign transaction fee, penalty. You have late payment fees, all the kind of stuff you have to take into account. All right, and especially if you are a small business owner, you need to count all your pennies. This is very important. So. And you also have to think about the pros and cons of business credit cards issued by credit unions. So what are the pros here? You have low interest rates for qualified borrowers, excellent customer service. Business credit cards are available to businesses with bad credit. That's pretty cool. As long as you're able to establish a relationship with the credit union, I'm tempted to say it doesn't really matter that much how worse or how poor your personal credit is. Okay, and another advantage here when it comes to business credit cards issued by credit unions is that the business credit cards are available to startup businesses. What about the cons here? You have limited lending services available, so members may not be able to apply for a business credit card right away. Sometimes they want you to wait for 3 months or 6 months. The cool thing here is that we have 10 business credit cards from credit unions that do not have this limitation, and business credit cards in some cases may not be available to very bad or limited credit borrowers. Something you need to think about. And one thing I also want to say here to kind of close this section is that please make sure that you choose, if possible, a credit union that is in your area, that is in your city, that's in your state. That way you're able to walk to a branch. You're able to have a discussion with a branch manager about your situation before even applying for a business credit card. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm still having a conversation with you about how to get a high limit EIN only business credit card from a credit union with dirt cheap APR and high limits. Okay. Step number 4, you need to learn how to evaluate credit union business credit cards. There is, if you will, some kind of what I would call a science. There is a process that you got to follow to evaluate, to assess which credit union business credit card is best for you. And so you got to think about things like interest, APR, default interest, personal guarantee if needed, and repayment. Let's first talk about the APR, the interest slash APR. So the interest clause on a business credit card application from a credit union explains what type of rate the business credit card carries, how the rate was calculated, and what the rate is. And business credit cards generally feature a fixed rate, sometimes a variable rate also, but mostly it's fixed rate, which actually stays the same. So if you are, let's say, and then you have a variable rate. A variable rate is usually tied to a market index such as LIBOR, or the prime rate, and it can increase or decrease in conjunction with fluctuations in the corresponding index. Okay, pay attention to the business credit card APR, because the APR basically is a calculation of interest taking into account all other fees associated with the card. As such, it reflects the true cost of the business credit card. So pay attention to that. You want to pay attention to the what I call the default interest clauses. So let's say if you stop paying, let's say you have an intro APR of 5%. If you don't fulfill your borrower responsibility, the default interest clause will kick in, so they will increase. The APR may go from 5% to 20% or 25%. You also want to think about personal guarantee. Does the business credit card from the credit union ask for a personal guarantee? Most business credit unions, as long as you have credit unions, as long as you have established a relationship with them prior, that they know your business model, they have spoken to you, they have seen your financials, they're not going to ask for a personal guarantee, at least when you apply for an EIN only business credit card. And also you have to think about payment terms. Are you billed every 30 days or every 21 days? So those are four elements, four important criteria you have to pay attention to when evaluating credit union business credit cards. Step number 5, you need to know credit union business credit card requirements. So when you're thinking about applying for a business credit card from a credit union, you have to understand their requirements. And most of those requirements are listed on the application. If you look at the application form, a typical application form from a credit union will have things like business licenses. So they want to see that you have the proper business licenses, permits. If you remember earlier, I was telling you to get your business legit. That's what I meant, because they will ask you anyway. A credit union also want to see articles of incorporation. This is why, if you remember, I was telling you cannot be a sole proprietor. You have to be a business. So articles of incorporation or articles of organization if you're an LLC. The card issuer would want to see profit and loss statements. Profit and loss is the same thing as a statement of income or income statement. So basically, they just want to see the net income, whether you are having more revenue than expenses. And some business credit card application forms will ask you for personal and business financial statements. What are those? What are financial statements? So profit and loss statements, P&L, it's one financial statement. You have three more. So you have a balance sheet, also called a statement of financial position or a statement of financial condition. You have a statement of cash flow. And the third one, that one is not really used sometimes, but it's called the statement of stockholders' equity. But that's on the business side, because as a person, you don't have a statement of stockholders' equity, right? But as a person, you can prepare your own P&L, your own balance sheet, and your own statement of cash flow. And last but not the least, they also want to see your income tax returns at the business level, but also at the personal level. And in some cases, they will want to see your credit reports. So since we're talking today about an EIN only business credit card, that means that your business must have some kind of business credit. So they will check the business credit. And in some rare cases, they might check your personal credit. Step number 6, folks, you want to shop around for credit union business credit cards. This is very important. And we actually have covered this topic on another show, so I'm not really going to go in details here. I'm just going to list to you here the cards that we have found that are great. We have found 10 rare EIN only business credit cards issued by credit unions with dirt cheap APR and high limits. So I'm just going to give you the list that we have covered this list extensively on another show. So we have the Consumer Credit Union's Business Visa Platinum. And here you have a credit line up to $100,000. We have the America First Credit Union Business Visa, credit line up to $75,000. We have here the Navy Federal Credit Union Gold Beast Rewards Card, credit line up to $75,000. We have here Boeing Employees Credit Union Business Visa with cash rewards, credit line up to $75,000. We have the Blue Federal Credit Union Business Rewards Card, credit line up to $75,000. The GTE Financial Business MasterCard, credit line up to $50,000. NASA Federal Business Visa Platinum Advantage Rewards Credit Card, credit line up to $50,000. We have Teachers Federal Credit Union Business Credit Card, credit lines up to $50,000. We have the American Heritage Credit Union Business Platinum MasterCard, credit line from $300 to $40,000, and the Alliance Credit Union MasterCard Elite, credit line up to $20,000. The cool thing here is, folks, all these 10 credit cards that I've listed here, eligibility in terms of the membership is pretty easy. Either you have to make a small donation, $5 to a foundation that is sponsored by the credit union, or you actually you can just open an account. So those 10 credit unions are what we call, or what experts called, public credit unions. So you can actually apply with no problem. So when you shop around, I want you to really focus on those 10, so you're able to see what works for you, and you're able to see what works for your business. Step number 7, folks. So once you have gone through the list, you're able to filter. You need to choose your preferred credit union, right? It's very important because you need to confirm eligibility. And so you might have 2 or 3, and the only way you can confirm eligibility is to apply for the credit card or apply for membership. Remember that credit unions, as I said at the beginning of this show, you have different types of credit unions. So you need to make sure that you understand that consumers and business owners can be eligible to join a credit union through employers or industries, military affiliation, alumni associations, religious institutions, geographic location, family members, other group memberships, including labor organizations, labor unions, and homeowners association. This is why I was just telling you earlier that it's pretty easy to join. It's pretty easy to find a business, to find actually a credit union that issues the kind of business credit card that you're all looking for. Okay, so this is pretty it. And step number 8, you need to establish a relationship with a credit union. As I think I've said this before on other shows, but it is quintessential, folks, to establish a rapport with a credit union. When we speak about credit unions, at the personal level or at the business level, we are referring to the human element. Forget about what you're used to in terms of fintech, where everything happens on the internet. You just apply for a credit card, everything happens online. 5 minutes, boom, you have your credit card, you have a decision, boom, that's it. No, with credit unions, things take time, which is pretty cool too, because they're not driven by profit really. So because of that, they take time for the people, right? They're paying attention to businesses more extensively. So you need to open a business account, open a personal account at the credit union, open a business account. You want to cultivate a relationship with your account manager. You want to visit the local branch if you can, and I would strongly recommend that you do. You want to let branch officers understand your business in and out. You want to participate in the credit union's local activities. It's very important in our research. The more involved you are at the community level, the higher the visibility that your business gets from everybody in the community, including the credit union. You want to take part in other community activities, and you want to get your business's name out there. Step number 9, folks. If you want to get a high limit EIN only business credit card from a credit union with a dirt cheap APR, you need to submit the business credit card application. Right? It's as simple as that. In other words, you've gone through the whole process. You've chosen one. You have shopped around for a business credit card. You have found the one that you loved. You chose your preferred credit union. You established a relationship with the credit union. Now, submit the credit card application. So you need to follow up with your account manager after submitting the application. Now, the submission can happen electronically online, or it can happen via fax, or via mail, or live. Like, basically, the credit union might ask you to come to the branch, the local branch, sit down with a rep and fill everything. And please provide additional documentation when required. Be very quick. Do not delay everything. They might ask you for your mission statements if they don't know that already. They might ask you for a breakdown of your team. They might want to know more about your marketing strategy and competitors and projected revenue. The cool thing here is that if you've done a great job in terms of preparing a business plan, all that info should have been detailed in the plan in the first place. Okay? And please be aware that when it comes to credit unions, things might be slow at times. It's just part of their DNA. They take time to learn, to understand whom they're dealing with. Okay, so they might also be asking you to submit again business licenses and permits, but the original copies. They might want to know employee identification numbers. Okay, the employer identification number rather, income and bank statements, balance sheet, personal and business tax returns, business debt schedule, and payroll records. And please, these are just the basics. If your business is in a unique situation, then the credit union may ask for even more paperwork. Okay. At the end of the day, you have to understand that this can be one of the most time-consuming aspects of applying for a business credit card from a bank. It can be frustrating, especially when you find yourself filling out the same details in all the paperwork. Okay. But the cool thing here is that it is worth it. At the end, think about a high credit limit, an EIN only business card, and a dirt cheap APR. So that's your rewards right there. All right, folks, this was it for today's conversation. I was speaking to you about how to get a high limit EIN only business credit card from a credit union with a dirt cheap APR. Step number 1, understand various types of credit unions. Number 2, you want to set a legit business structure. Number 3, you want to understand how credit union business credit cards work. Number 4, you want to learn how to evaluate credit union business credit cards. Number 5, know credit union business credit card requirements. Number 6, you want to shop around for credit union business credit cards. Number 7, you want to choose your preferred credit union. Number 8, you need to establish a relationship with the credit union. Number 9, you need to submit the business credit card application. Thank you so much, folks, for your attention. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.